Back in New Zealand after my trip teaching some Qigong workshops in Melbourne. That's going to be the topic of this episode of Chi Life. Alright, so I guess this one's just going to be a little bit of a recap, a little bit of current events, what's going on for me. I just got back from Melbourne. Actually, it was a few days ago, but I've been catching up with lots of things, when you travel, certainly when I travel. All of the logistics of traveling and organizing different things and so on often means that some other things get put aside for a little while, and whenever I come back from a trip, there's often quite a few things that need to be caught up on, admin things and just things to do with work. One thing particularly at the moment, having more technical issues with the website. If you've been following the vlog, you'll know I had a little run of issues a little while ago after changing some hosting. And now there's more going on. So the Long White Cloud Qigong website is down at the moment. I'm chasing that up, hoping to have it sorted out soon. But anyway, if you are wanting to look at something on there, come back in a day or two, hopefully it'll be sorted out. All right, so how was it going to Melbourne? You'll recall I talked about this previously in a couple of vlogs, probably expressing a little bit what I hope to get out of that trip. And I would say it has succeeded in achieving everything that I hoped it would. For one, it was just nice being in Melbourne. I've mentioned before, I really like Melbourne as a city. I haven't spent a lot of time there, but I have visited several times for quite short visits, and I've enjoyed it every time. All of the cultural things there, and the food and the arts, and the general environment. I really like Melbourne as a city. Going beyond that, the Qigong workshops themselves, it was really nice to be interacting with people. It's not that I don't interact with people in person here in New Zealand, but it's been such a long time since I've traveled to teach workshops and teach those in person. Really nice to do that. Making those in-person connections with people. And of course there is something a little bit different about teaching Qigong in person than online, which is what I've done a lot of over the last 4 years, roughly. Not that there's anything wrong with teaching online. There's really good things about teaching online. In fact, I'd say some advantages in some ways teaching online compared to in person, particularly in terms of, and this is for the comprehensive courses that I run, some advantages for those, where it gives a lot of flexibility in terms of being able to practice in your own time, in your own space, around your own schedule. If you have other commitments with work, with family, all those sorts of things, to be able to fit in what is quite a comprehensive course of study. It's quite intensive in many ways, and having the flexibility to be able to fit that around the other things that you're doing, I think that's an amazing thing that we can do with the online training. Also, the ability to be able to refer back to material so easily, because of course everything we do, we record it. So there's a whole lot of pre-recorded videos demonstrating, explaining things, a whole lot of written material. And then we do have live interactive sessions as well, Q&As, group practice sessions, and so on. And those are great. We do develop that connection through those, but then they're also recorded so you can refer back to them. Or if you have to miss one for some reason, you can refer back to it. So a lot of good things about online training. But then there's something different about being in person with people. And so that was really nice too. Another aspect of this is not just with the people who attended the workshops, but the people who helped organize them. Because each of the workshops that I ran in Melbourne, we did 3 of them. There was one on Qigong for aligning with the seasons and Christmas, one on Qigong for balancing the emotions, and one which was an introduction to Qigong walking. For each of those, there was an instructor helping to organize and even co-facilitate parts of those workshops. Long White Cloud Qigong instructors who have done courses in the past and who are now teaching. And it's wonderful to make that connection with them as well, as well as actually in the workshops. I spent some time with them outside of the workshops, just getting to know them a little bit better and develop that personal connection, and also see where they're at in their teaching, their own style, their own personal character that they bring to their teaching as well. This is one of the things in the past. I used to do a lot of this. Prior to the pandemic, I was traveling a lot all over the world, teaching workshops, running retreats, and part of this was just teaching people, but part of it as well was making connections with people who had studied online with Long White Cloud Qigong. So, sometimes you think of, the online as, just through the screen. And yeah, it's a tool for the learning. But so nice to also be able to develop those connections outside of the screen as well. So that was a really good part of the trip too. So another thing that I was hoping would come out of this trip was really, for me, and what I'm doing at the moment, because in many ways, for the last, it's not quite 4 years now, but almost 4 years, I've kind of been stuck in New Zealand. Not that New Zealand is such a bad place to be. There's lots of good things here. But, my plans had been to be traveling and teaching Qigong a lot and doing some other things. And initially with the pandemic itself, that caused me to be, stuck here with border closures and issues around that. And then with a few things coming out of that, over the last couple of years, it's just had things that have kind of tied me here. And now, pretty much all of that sort of wrapped up, and I have more flexibility to travel now. I am looking forward to, again, teaching internationally, running retreats, running workshops in different places around the world, making those interpersonal connections. But it's been a long time now since I did that. And I used to, like I said, I used to travel extensively. Like I might go on a trip and for a number of months, and it might be something like 11 different countries and maybe 30 different cities, teaching workshops different places. And a lot went into organizing that and making that all happen. A lot of help from different people as part of that as well. It's been so long since I did that, and so in many ways, going to Melbourne, just not that far from New Zealand in the scheme of things, little short trip. I was there for 6 days basically. I mean, the whole trip was kind of 7 days with all the travel logistics and stuff either end, but in Melbourne I was basically there for 6 days. It's just a little trip, just a few short workshops, not a major commitment, but still, yeah, like it's a baby step in a way, but a big step in terms of getting back into doing that stuff after so long having not done any of that. And so it was really interesting getting my head around all of the coordination for the different workshops and all of the logistics and so on. Definitely some rusty skills in terms of doing that. And so it was good to be able to do that on this small scale to start to get things into motion. Another thing that I hoped would come from this is that it would help me to freshen up my thinking. I've talked about this in one of the recent vlogs, that there's really no question that our environment really does have a big effect on us. Now, of course, what we do internally has a big effect on us too. And when we can't change our environment, then working internally, we can do a lot to change our situation. But the environment does have a big role as well. And being just within New Zealand, I was quite aware that my perspective had closed in a little bit in terms of how I looked at things, what was possible, how I could do different things. And so being out of this environment, again, it's not like it's a terrible environment, but going somewhere different physical environment, different weather, different people, slightly different ways of doing things. Australia and New Zealand are pretty similar, but a little bit different. I think has succeeded in helping me to just open up some new neural pathways, different ways of thinking, or maybe even not new ones, but old ones, reactivate them, be able to see things in a different way, which I think is going to really support me in moving into next year, because I don't know how much I'll do yet next year, but I am really wanting to start to do more of this again. teaching workshops, running retreats, different locations around the world, reaching different people, forming those personal connections with people. And there were sort of little glimmers of moments when I was there in Melbourne, and also just outside of Melbourne in Geelong, where it was almost like seeing glimpses of an earlier version of myself. Of course, it's the same me, but different ways of carrying myself, ways of interacting with people, ways of thinking. Just little glimpses like, oh yeah, this is what it used to be like when I was traveling extensively, and feeling very different inside as part of that. Also, in terms of just the thinking, it was on the 5th day, so I was there a total of 6 days. On the 5th day, I started to have ideas flow about some of the possibilities, some of the things involved in running some retreats and things next year. And it just came as I was talking with people after one of the workshops, and we're chatting about different things, and the ideas just started to come and flow by themselves. I wasn't having to like go, oh, what do I need to do next? They just started to flow. And I think that just came organically out of traveling, being a different environment, opening up those perspectives. So I think it has certainly served that purpose for me. Now, again, it's only been a baby step, this little short trip, just a few workshops. I think for me to make the most of that, I need to take that momentum that I have started now and actually do something with it and start to put plans together. Because otherwise it's very easy back in my old environment to close back in again, same habits of thinking, of activities and so on, and start to lose that perspective that I was able to just start to open up again. So, like I said, I don't have any specific plans for next year yet in terms of travels and workshops and retreats and that sort of thing, but it is something I'm going to be looking at in the near future and starting to put those plans together. So one of the things that I'm planning on doing quite soon, probably in the next couple of weeks, is putting together a survey that I'll send out to people where I can gather their ideas of, what they would find most useful or would fit best for them in terms of locations, countries, times, length, topics around different retreats for Qigong. And so those can all then feed into the planning process, and I can put things together that will be, the best fit and valuable for the most people. So if you are interested in filling out that survey, well, certainly if you're on the Long White Cloud Qigong email list, which we normally only send out an email once a month, most of the time once a month, occasionally not even once a month, with different updates about what's going on at Long White Cloud Qigong. I'm sure to send it out via that, so you can look out for it there. If you're not on that email list, I'd encourage you to get on it. So if you just go to longwhitecloudqigong.com, and on the home page, once you start to sort of move around on that, a pop-up comes up that you can put in your email address there to go on the mailing list. Or I think it's pretty much on any other page on the website. Once you're through, on the top right of the page, there's somewhere you can put in your email address and stuff and join the mailing list. Good chance I'll probably also make a vlog about the survey when I put it out as well. So that's another option. If you're subscribed to the Qi Life channel, if you're following the vlogs, I'll probably make a vlog about it and then find a way to put a link to the survey below if you'd like to sort of have your say, if you might be interested in some retreats or workshops next year. So all in all, the trip kind of did exactly what I hoped it would. I am aware of the need for myself personally to sort of make use of the good that's come out of it for me, or I could easily lose it. It's, use it or lose it. There's a little bit of an opening of perspective, a little bit of momentum. I need to put that into action. I'm hoping to do that in terms of some of the plans for next year. All right, this is, kind of a personal vlog about what's going on with me, so a little bit different from some of the others, I suppose. But hopefully talking about this, there might be some things that apply to your life as well. So I hope it's been helpful, maybe interesting. And I look forward to seeing you on another vlog soon.